Hello, DCAC members. This is Jake, and I am presenting to you the 2019-2020 College and Career Readiness Report. The first to know is that this work blends the work of our district and the state, with the state having the world's best workforce, which includes 5 goals from education in Minnesota, with the fourth goal being that all students are ready for college and career readiness. We also have this as a goal in our strategic plan for Roseville area schools as we work to support and expand college and career readiness as well. So the blending of those two is part of our plan. And looking more specifically at our strategic plan areas, all of our school board reports are connected to our strategic plan areas. So this slide defines and identifies some of the connections to the areas in our strategic plan. The first one is obviously to be able to offer career and college readiness for all of our students, we have to have a solid foundation in place, which comes from including that first area on the strategic plan. The first area on the strategic plan is listed first on the report here, but really we need to provide that safe, challenging, equitable learning environment for students, which involves strengthening relationships between our staff and our students of color, and also providing that curriculum that reflects the diverse cultures of our families and students. We think those are baseline things that need to be a part of a college and career readiness plan. We also continue to work on those areas of increasing that college and career readiness opportunities for our students, which include expanding our work with apprenticeships, mentoring, job shadowing, internships, and those are just a few of the things that we're doing. This next slide reflects the college and credit-bearing courses that we have at Roseville area schools, and you can see that there's a list of 3 different ones in differentiated colors: the advanced placement courses, college in the schools courses, and our concurrent enrollment courses. And these are all courses that currently you can see that those are in the 2020-2021 school year, and these are offered at Roseville area high school at this point. Advanced placement or AP courses, that one in green, are courses where students complete at RAS and then they take an exam, an AP test at the end of that course to get a possible college credit. They have to get a 3 or higher potentially to get college credit for that course. The next one in the middle is college in the schools, which are offered through the U of M. And for those courses, students just need to maintain a specified grade for the course. And if they're able to maintain that grade, they're able to receive credit at the University of Minnesota. The last one is another way to earn college credit is our concurrent enrollment courses. Students are able to take those courses for college credit, and they're taught by our Roseville schools teachers at the high school, at Roseville area high school, that are connected to colleges within our Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system. They need to have an accredited teacher, and so we have those teachers at RAS that are using the college curriculum. Again, students that are earning a certain grade can receive college credit for completing those courses. At looking at those courses, this is the look of these next 2 slides will provide you the look of the demographics of our college credit bearing courses. So all of those classes that you saw before and a couple more that were last year, this is actually for 2019-2020. Looking at the population of who the students are by race and ethnicity that are in those courses. And what we're looking for is that representative student enrollment by race in those college credit bearing courses. So if you look at the chart on the left, it's our 2019-2020 student enrollment by race and ethnicity for Roseville area high school, which includes all of our students, American Indian students, Asian students, Hispanic students, Black students, white students, and multiracial students. And you can see the different colors that represent those areas or those race for our students. And so that's the current enrollment overall in RAS. And the chart on the right shows the student enrollment that are in our college credit bearing courses last year. So if you look at the right compared to the left, They're very similar, and that's what we want to see within that data, is those student populations that are similar to what the current overall population is in Roseville. So I'll give you another look at that. In this slide, it's our college credit-bearing courses. Again, it was that same data that we saw in that last slide, just shown over multiple years in a line graph. What we're looking for is that 1.0 representation. That would mean that the students in our overall population meet that same proportion of students that are in our college and college credit-bearing courses. And so you can see in that last column here in 1920, we're a little bit underrepresented for our American Indian students. Our Asian students are just below, Hispanic students just above, Black students right at that level, white students right at the level, and multiracial students just above. You can see some trends there as well, where we have kind of come up a little bit with our Hispanic students. We've come down a little bit with our multiracial students, but overall that proportion is quite proportionate to what we would see for our overall population. This next slide, or the next 3 slides, are about advanced placement, the courses and the tests from last year. Again, this is 2019-2020 data. And just know that students typically take AP tests in mid to late May, but this was during the height of our distance learning last year, and participation was very different, and so were the tests. They were a remote test that was provided. Typically, the AP tests are given in person. This past year, obviously, was that remote format, and so it did look different for our participation from students. So just some things to note for this slide. We had a decrease in our total number of students in our AP courses overall. The number of students taking the exams was down as well. Again, the AP test was administered in the height of the pandemic last May of 2020, so we expected these numbers to be lower. We did see an increase in the number of students who scored a 3 or higher on the test, and my hypothesis for this is that it was an increase due to the pandemic change in the administration to the remote test. What we also know about research is that students that take an AP course and take the AP exam increase college retention and their college graduation rate, which is why it makes it important for our students to take an AP test regardless of whether they think they can get a passing score or a 3 or higher on that test. So we do encourage all of our students to take that test. This slide is looking at, again, not only taking that AP course, but taking that AP test. So this is looking at AP test participation by race and ethnicity. So you'll see that the numbers of students disaggregated by race, and this is showing that 5-year testing period. It also shows how in most student groups we were increasing the numbers of students of color taking that test, but again we did see that drop in testing in the 2020. We do believe that's due to the pandemic and issues around that. This is looking at our district average AP scores by race, and then comparing it to how that looks to the state and to our nation. So Roseville is in blue, Minnesota overall statewide is in red, and the nation overall is in green. So you can see our average scores of our student groups, most of them perform above the national average, but below the state average. However, our white students and multiracial students perform both above the state and the nation. Not shown here, but in trend data that I've seen, Asian, Black, and multiracial students did increase their scores from the past year. And this data also shows that we still have many disparities between our white students and other students of color. So this is an update of ACT data, and typically I would share the ACT data along with this report, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, our 2020 test for ACT was canceled. So the most recent year is 2019, which we reported last year, but you can see some of those trends from over the last 3 years. Um, and in the box, the lower box that you can see, it just kind of explains due to the pandemic, there was no ACT, but our plans for coming up this year. We actually, just as I'm recording this today, April 13th, we did have our students take the ACT test so students that were seniors this year who haven't had a chance to take the AC or wanted another chance to, that was offered today. For our students that will be seniors next year, so the class of 2022, will have an opportunity to take the ACT at school on October 5th. And also the ACT will be offered to juniors, so that class of 2023, which is our juniors for next year, will be offered that in March of 2022. So it just kind of shows the progression of how we're offering that ACT test coming up. Getting into some of these slides, the next two slides provide some data and looking at that number of our students that are taking our our career and technical education courses, or CTE courses as we've called them. So this slide looks at the numbers of students in our CTE courses by race and ethnicity. And you can see that we see increases in our numbers of students of color taking our CTE courses over that 4-year time period. So this slide is again looking at that makeup of students who are in our CTE courses by race. In this slide, we're again looking for that proportionate population of students in those courses, which would be shown again by that 1.0 line. We do see close to representative numbers in our CTE courses. However, we did see a large jump in our multiracial students in this year, or past year, sorry, and we have seen a steady increase of Hispanic students in these courses as well. We've seen that a decline of our Native American students. That does have a smaller number, so that compared to some of our other populations, but it is something that we want to continue to monitor. So there is more fluctuation along with that group, but again, it does look like it's declining and something that we need to continue to look at. So this next slide is introducing our career navigator. So we have Bryn McConnell, who is a new staff member to us last year. We received a grant from the Roseville Area Schools Foundation as well as the St. Paul Foundation so we could hire a career navigator. She was hired in early of 2020, just prior to the pandemic. However, she continued to do some great work and made connections with business partners in the area and within our schools as well. She's been getting the word out about possibilities of career opportunities and connections through a monthly school newsletter, as well as partnering with classrooms to push in and discuss opportunities for our students. She also holds weekly office hours via Zoom for students who want some more in-depth information. And we're excited to have her and the possibilities that she brings, and thank both the Roseville Schools Foundation and the St. Paul Foundation for supporting us with this work. This next slide is the NEAM grant, and it stands for the Northeast Metro Manufacturing Education Grant. And this grant provides some opportunities for students who are interested in manufacturing to participate in a summer internship program. So last year the program was on hold due to COVID, but we do have some opportunities that are coming up for students this summer. We continue to build our business partnerships, work that Bryn does, and work that some of our past administrators and folks have worked on at Roz as well. And also our CTE teachers have been working on. So a lot of different opportunities for our students to get involved with some of these business partnerships have been great things happening for our students. So now I have some pictures. These are kind of construction at Roz, so to show some before and after pictures. This first one is of the Family and Consumer Science area, or FACS area, as it was being built last spring. This is that same area shown now, with some of our students back obviously in that space and being able to utilize that space much different than it was. This is another one of our FACS labs that was under construction last spring. And this next slide shows an example of some students that are back again and working in our FACS classes. Again, can't wait till we get our students back full in person and can be utilizing all these different spaces to their utmost capacity. This is some of the early construction that was happening on the auto shop, and probably if you've driven by on 36, you can see this building as it's used to be located at Rams. And one of the great things about our construction is bringing our auto shop to the high school, which will provide our students less scheduling interruptions. They used to have to ride a bus over to Rams and lost some time in that transition. So it's great to have this be at Roseville Area High School. So you can see it being built there, and this is what it actually turns out to look like, a really beautiful opportunity for students and a beautiful space that will offer some excellent learning for our students. Again, some of them even working on the possibility of getting some ASE certified through their coursework. But you can see some brand new lifts, some bay doors, and you can actually see one of the cars that they have that they're working on. But incredibly improved space than the one that you may have seen at Rams. So they're excited about that. This is actually a picture of the workshop, or the Woods workshop. And it gives you kind of that aerial view of it. I wish I had one of the before, but it's just a great space, completely remodeled, and it's a much better processing space for our students. We don't have students in there yet. They are now, but when the picture was taken, there weren't students in there yet. But they're in there and they're using that wood shop. So exciting to see some of those new spaces for our CTE courses. So we will have more chance to get to your questions and comments and discussion at our meeting on April 19th. Thanks for listening.